It's official. We are living in an age of AI. There doesn't seem to be a day that goes by without hearing about a new, amazing, exciting AI app or hearing about a very cool and interesting and promising AI tool. In fact, just reading the news today, I learned that there's 5 very interesting AI tools that were launched just today. And it's amazing what's going to happen tomorrow, next week, or even next month. But an even better news is that it's very, very simple and straightforward to build amazing AI apps. It's very easy to integrate this AI functionality into whatever app that you want to build, especially when it comes to no-code apps. For instance, here we have OpenAI. This is the home of ChatGPT and GPT-3, amazing, incredible AI models that allow you to do just about anything having to do with text. Another awesome resource is called replicate.com, and this is where you can browse very awesome and exciting AI models that do amazing things regardless whether you're working with images, text, or audio. And you can easily build apps that integrate with any of these models by simply choosing a model, clicking on the API, and following the instructions that you see on your screen. I actually have a comprehensive video on building no-code apps using this specific resource. You're going to see a video in the corner right there. Now, all this means is that building amazing AI apps has never been simpler and has never been easier than it is right now. But what if I told you there's even a better and an easier way to build amazing AI apps that do incredible things? Well, actually, there is. And so in today's video, I'm going to be showing you an amazing tool. But more than that, I'm going to be showing you how you can use this incredible tool to build amazing AI apps. And then later in the video, I'm going to be showing you a proof of concept no-code app that leverages this tool in order to create an amazing experience for your users. Now, before we get started, as always, all the resources, including the apps that I'm going to be demonstrating, as well as building in today's video, are going to be available to view and or clone from my Patreon page. And you can see a link to it in the description below. Now, one of the most amazing tools that I've been very excited about ever since discovering is called Rowi. And this is a tool that allows you to kind of combine data and code. And so this is what they say. You can build your product backend in low code scalably, connect to your database and create cloud functions without leaving your browser. Focus on building your apps. Now, all of this is marketing speak, and right now it's not very clear what exactly this tool does and how it can help you build better apps faster. But if you check out their blog, they actually have very, very interesting features and very interesting things that they're working on. So here's a couple of articles they have, but one article that really caught my attention is the fact that you can build AI apps using this tool, right? So here we have a blog article. It's called Build Your Own AI Avatar Generator, okay? And so it says how to use latest 1-minute template to build your own AI avatar generator. And so if we open this blog article here, they have a step-by-step guide that shows you how you can build an AI avatar generator. So here's step 1. Step 2, you're going to be adding images for training. Step 3, you're going to train a model. And step 4, you're going to be generating images. Now, one thing that's very crucial to understand, and you have to understand this right now, is that by the time you finish following these steps here, you're going to have an app that's going to work. And you're going to have an app that's going to do everything that you need to do. You don't need to create another app. You don't need to do logic elsewhere. You don't need to do anything. You're going to have an app that's going to do exactly what it says. And then later you can integrate it with anything that you want. But the key here that I want to drive right now, right here, is that when you're done, you're essentially going to have an app. You're going to have an app with logic. You're going to have an app with a backend, and it's all going to work flawlessly together, and you're going to be amazed at the results. So now, hopefully, you are interested in learning more. Let's go ahead and log into Rowi. Let me show you exactly what's happening there. And then later in the video, I'm going to be showing you a proof of concept no-code app that interfaces with Rowi and does some more interesting things. So I've just logged into my Rowi account. I'm using the free plan. I'm not paying anything for it. You can also create your free account. You don't have to pay for anything right now. Now, the first thing that we need to do is we need to create a workspace. So I'm going to click here. I'm going to name it WS for workspace. I'm going to hit next and I'm done. I'm going to say, let's go. And now I have a workspace. The next thing I need to do is I need to create a project. Okay. So it's asking me to call my project. I'm just going to say project one. I'm going to choose Firebase. There's also other options, but they're not available right now. So the only viable option is Firebase. We're going to hit continue. Now I'm logged in into my Google account. So I can pick an existing project or I can create a new Firebase project specifically for this app that we're building here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new Firebase project. Here, I'm going to call this project one, and I'm going to pick a region and I'm going to say create project. So it's creating my project right now. Okay, so now it's telling me that it has created a new project, and this is the project ID. And so if I head over to my Firebase console, I can see I now have this new project here with the same ID. I can simply click on it. And this is an empty project that I can manage myself, or I can have Rowi managing it for me. So we're going to go back to Rowi and we're going to hit continue. And Rowi needs to do a couple of more things to it. So it wants us to enable authentication. So we're going to go ahead and enable authentication by going into authentication, and we're going to say get started. Okay, we've enabled authentication. We're going to click on verify, and it's telling us that authentication is enabled. We're going to hit continue. All right, nicely done. You've created a new project. We're going to say let's go. All right, so now it's telling us welcome to Rowi, and it wants us to create a table. So we can either create a blank table, okay, or we can choose a table or an app essentially from any of these built-in templates. So if you take a look at all of these templates, there's some amazing things that you can do. So for instance, here you can use GPT-3 to do various interesting things. You can have expenses using GPT-3, translations. Here you also have this avatar trainer, which is what they were talking about in that blog article, where you can upload your images. It's going to train the model and then create various avatars in various different genres. But we also have board games, certificate generators, countries, idea suggestion. We have a lot of interesting things. And so let me start with a very, very simple but a very powerful example just to show you how everything works and also kind of get your imagination going, and so that you can think of different possibilities and ideas that you can implement using this tool and your app. So let's say we pick this Emojify here. We're going to click on preview, and if you click on explore live demo, essentially how it works is that you can enter a word and it's going to generate emojis, because this is about getting movie names as emojis using GPT-3. So it is going to be using AI, but it's going to be doing all that in a way that's very, very simple and very, very intuitive. And so let's say you want to use this model inside of your app. So you're going to click on use this template, and you need to set up cloud functions. Okay, so we're going to say cloud functions. We're going to hit continue. So it's telling us to select a different plan. We're going to select this plan, hit continue. I'm going to set a budget limit. And don't worry, for testing, you're not going to be build anything. It's going to be still fairly free. Okay, I've upgraded the project. I'm going to go back here. Next, I'm going to hit verify. Okay, billing is enabled. Hit continue. We're going to select a region here. I'm going to do US East 1. We're going to hit deploy. All right. It's telling us deploy to cloud run. We're going to hit continue. Okay, and we are all done. Rowi run is all set up. And what we've just done is set up the logic elements. Okay, now that logic is set up, we don't need to do it ourselves. We're going to exit out. Next you want to do is click on use this template. And once you click on use this template, you're going to have this wizard here. Let's begin. And here you can specify the table name, collection name, and a table ID. We're going to say create table. Now, because it's using OpenAI, we first need to fetch our OpenAI token and follow the instructions in order to set it up so the whole thing works correctly. You're going to click on this to go to your OpenAI API keys, you're going to create a new key, then click on here, add a key to the secret manager. You're going to create a new key called OpenAI. You're going to paste the key here. You're going to say create secret. Once you've done that, you're going to hit refresh and you should see the key that you've just created. We're going to select it and click on set secret. We're going to hit next. And now we need to deploy functions that are going to be generating these emojis. Hit deploy functions. After it finishes, you should see a message called deploy. That means that everything is set up correctly and your app is going to work perfectly. At this point, you can click on proceed and it says here template installed successfully. Your template has now been installed successfully. You can get movie names as emojis using OpenAI GPT-3 API. We're going to click finish. And now we have a table here, but this is a self-contained app because if you, let's say you click on add a row and you type something like robot watching TV and press enter, you should see an emoji here. And there you see an emoji that was just generated. So let's add another row, man eating, and there we see an apple there. How about, okay, and there you see a car. So depending on the word that you're entering, you're gonna get different emojis. And like I talked about in the beginning of the video, what you're looking at is a self-contained app that's doing all of these API calls. And essentially what you're looking at is an app that's generating rows in a Firebase collection for you. So if I go back to my Firebase here and I go to my Firestore database, I should be able to see all of this data here. And I can pull this data up and I can manipulate it any way that I want. So I can come back here, Emojify, and I can see all the records here. I can see all the records with all the emojis. There are the emojis. This is another row with that apple emoji, and here's another one with that car emojis. And so anytime I am creating a new row and entering a field here and having this field generated, I am getting a new row in my Firebase account that I can easily pull and show to the user, or I can even create a UI that allows the user to do exactly what I'm doing here. Now, before I show you a no-code app proof of concept that essentially is going to connect to our database and show all this data, let me first explain to you how this works, because it's amazing, an amazing method of building apps, right? So here we have a typical application, right? We have a UI, we have logic, and we have storage, right? So if you're building like a FlutterFlow app, you're going to have UI, and somewhere inside you're going to have logic that's going to be, you know, pulling in the data and filtering it and doing all kinds of manipulation. And you know, you're going to be getting this data either from storage or an API call or anything like that. This is the standard way of building apps. I'm sure you've seen this diagram many times before, especially on my channel. But the rowy way, it's a very, very unique way of building apps, right? Because the way it works is, yes, you still have your UI, and this could be Flutterflow or anything else really, but the logic and the storage is actually taken care for you by rowy, right? So rowy is like a wrapper on top of your data storage backend. So in this case, it's a wrapper on top of Firebase DB. And so it can accept webhooks, and it can also generate its own events, right? Which is kind of what's happening in this app example, because if we go back to our app, anytime we add a new row and we modify this word here in the new row, it generates an update event. What we're saying is we are updating a field. And so it's telling it, okay, we've updated the field. This is the new value here. This is the new text. Now go and do something and show the result here. That is kind of what it's doing. And this is an awesome way of building apps, because we're not really concerned too much, at least, of how it's making the requests or how it's storing the data. It's doing it by using this field as an input and this field is as an output. Now, if you're really curious how it works, you can just click on this emoji column, go to column config, and then you can see a function that makes this API call in order to get the emoji, but it's all built in and it works flawlessly. And this is the exact same way that all the other templates work. So you can use another template, set it up like I talked about here, and you're gonna have the same results. So now that you hopefully understand how this whole flow works, let me show you a proof of concept Flutterflow app that could be used as a UI on top of the app that we built here. So here I am inside of Flutterflow. I created a brand new app. There's nothing in this app. And the first thing that we need to do is we need to connect our brand new app to our Firebase project. So we're going to come here, we're going to choose Firebase, and we're going to enter our project ID by coming here, clicking on this gear icon, project settings, and you're going to have your project ID. We're going to copy that, paste here, click connect. Then we're going to click on auto generate config files. Next, we're going to click here and create a schema by adding a collection. And the collection is called Emojify, right? So we're going to call this Emojify, and we're going to create a couple of fields that we are interested in. So in this case, we are interested in emoji and word. That's it. There's other fields there, but we're not too interested in that. So we're going to start from scratch. This is going to be string. This is also going to be string. Okay, so now that we have the schema, the data model, we can create a quick UI that displays all of this in a nice table. So we're going to come here to our widget navigator, and we are going to add a data table to our column. Okay, so here maybe it's going to be a word. We're going to say word, and this is going to be emoji. Okay, and then we're going to connect our data table to our database as a backend query. We're going to do a query collection. We're going to do Emojify. Next, we're going to configure our columns here. So we're going to click here, set from variable. We're going to say this is word and this is emoji. And then we're going to run this app in a test environment. And this is the result. We have the table, we have the words, and we have the emojis exactly how it was being displayed here, because that's all we're doing. We're simply pulling in the data and we are showing it in our app. Now, of course, this is a very, very simple application, just to show you that you can easily pull data and show it. But if you decide to do something else, for instance, you want to create a UI that's going to take input, maybe take in the word, and then it's going to generate an emoji. Well, the app is going to do it automatically. You don't need to write the actual code. You don't need to create API calls. You don't need to create these emojis. All you need to do is simply ask the user for a word, and then as soon as you create that new record in Firestore DB, which you can easily do it using this no-code builder or just about any other no-code builder, you're going to have a result automatically populated in this emoji column, and that's going to save you a lot of time, a lot of hassle, and just a lot of energy, because that's all going to be done for you thanks to Roy. And obviously you can take this as far as you want. You can check out some of the other templates here. There's some interesting ones, and you can essentially implement these templates to do interesting things using the exact steps that I implemented this simple OpenAI app. And once you're done with Row, you can easily build a UI that just shows the data or gets input from users in order to create new records. And obviously you can create a very simple app around it. You can take it further and create a more complex app. It's really, really up to you. I just wanted to show you a very, very easy and simple technique to get started with awesome AI. Now, if you enjoyed this video and maybe you want to create this app as a way to learn more about no code, or you want to build a similar app and sell it to the masses, you definitely want to check out my Patreon community. On my Patreon page, not only are you going to get access to all the resources that I talked about in this video. So yes, you'll be able to easily view and or clone the Flutterflow app that I talked about in today's video, but you also get access to all the Flutterflow apps that I've built thus far on this channel already, as well as some of the other apps using other no-code builders. But you also get access to extra content such as Q&As, live streams, behind the scenes content, as well as my exclusive Patreon only masterclass series where we do a deep dive on specific topics that our community is interested in exploring further. And in fact, just a couple of days ago, I did my latest Q&A where I answered a lot of interesting questions that our community requested. And no doubt, I'm sure that some of the questions that I answered are going to be useful to you as well, regardless where you are on your no-code journey. So you're going to get a ton of extra content. You're going to have access to all of these apps. But most importantly, when you join our Patreon community, you're going to be supporting this channel and supporting my work. And that is greatly, greatly appreciated. And so if that sounds like something you might be interested in, I definitely encourage you to check out our Patreon community and consider joining. You're going to see a link to it in the description below this video. Now, if you guys are interested in a more comprehensive video that I made about Rowi that showcases some of the other functionality and features of this amazing tool, check out the video in the corner right now. I'm more than sure you're gonna gain a ton of value from that video.